Hey there, YouTube. Don Chamberlain, Great Way of Engineering here. Last April, I posted a video about a BioGravel testing on one of my small filters. I just realized reviewing my videos that I never posted the results, so I hope to cover that now. The quarantine tank is approximately 500 gallons. At the start of testing, we had 6 koi in there with a estimated fish load of about 10.5 grams per gallon. And I was feeding 44 grams per day. And so on March 20th, I doubled this to 88 grams per day. At first, the koi seemed to be eating well, but then I noticed they were kind of backing off. So on the 21st of March, I reduced that feeding to 64 grams per day. And on the 25th, we did some water tests, found out that the nitrite was still at about 1/10 of a part per million. And so we reduced it further to 44 grams per day, and then the nitrite returned to 0. So this was with the mini in the filter. And so basically we concluded that with mini, we could feed a fish load of 10.5 grams per gallon with about 44 grams per day without seeing any nitrite. So that was sort of our baseline for the testing. As shown in the log that we keep on the pond control system, the media was changed to 12 kilograms of BioGravel on the 8th of April. Volume was basically the same, but because the BioGravel is significantly more dense, the weight is increased significantly compared to the 10 kilograms of mini that was in there previously. So after changing the media, the feeding was reduced, since it was brand new media, to 24 grams per day. On the 12th of April, we increased that a bit to 44 grams per day. And this was the level that we were able to sustain with the mini. And on the 17th of April, we increased that again to 64 grams per day. However, on the 22nd of April, we tested the water and we found that we had 0.25 parts per million nitrite. So we took it back down to 44 grams a day again. However, on May 8th, we took it up to 52 grams. And then we took it up to 64 grams per day on the 14th of May. At this point, the media appeared to be cycled. We weren't seeing any more nitrite. So now we were really ready to start our testing. So on the 28th, we increased the feeding to 72 grams per day. On June 12th, it was up to 80 grams per day. On the 18th of June, up to 88 grams per day. And on the 25th, up to 96 grams per day. Now, on the 28th of June, all the fish were removed from the pond. I had to reseal it. So now we had a lot bigger load in the quarantine tank. We had about 14 grams per gallon fish load in there after we moved the fish in there, the additional fish. And we continued feeding there at 96 grams per day for a bit. We kept some of the other koi in another tank, but unfortunately one or more of them spawned in that tank, so then we had to make some further adjustments, move fish around a little bit, and we wound up with 24 grams per day or 24 grams per gallon of fish load in the quarantine tank. So on the 2nd of July, I was feeding 112 grams per day, but I found when I did a test that nitrite was now up to 0.3 part per million. So we backed that off pretty quickly to 96 grams the next day. And then on the 4th, we took that back down to 64 grams per day. Well, we still had problems with spawning. I had one of them, large females, still in the other tank. So I moved her into the quarantine tank, took a couple of smaller koi out, and as a result, we wound up with a fish load, estimated fish load in the quarantine tank of about 31.9 grams per gallon. But we continued increasing the feeding to see what we could do. On the 16th of July, we were back up to 72. Then on the 22nd, up to 88 grams. Had to back that off a bit. We had a little nitrite. Back down to 80 on the 30th. 31st, we were back up to 88. And on August 4th, we were up to 96. And I had to back off again when we saw nitrite. So on the 12th, we were at 88 grams per day. So basically, we found that we could get zero nitrite with 88 grams per day with a fish load of about 31.9 grams per gallon, compared with our previous baseline of 44 grams per day with a fish load of 10.5 grams with the mini. So that was pretty impressive results. Now, I have to mention that during this testing, we did increase the temperature up to 72 degrees and then up to 75 degrees to simulate summer conditions to get a real feel for what we could do in summer conditions when we'd be feeding more heavily. So it's not a strict comparison. The water temperatures weren't quite that high when we were feeding with the mini, but still, I think it's clear that the BioGravel performed much, much better. So anyway, that's the results. We'd love to hear your comments, and happy koi keeping.